this panel, I would like to stay with you, Alexander, actually, and see if you may have any questions for your peers, for the previous speakers, about their approaches to demand-side policies, if anything in their remarks particularly stood out to you.
Actually, because we are some steps behind, we are always interested about the experience of other countries, mainly regarding regulations. So how some countries manage to deal with the utilities, to the energy utilities, and establish some steps and rules in order to make this the utilities to integrate smart meters into their measurement procedures, and also how which were the steps in order to make the utilities to integrate that, because we know that it's related to a cost impact, and that's why our energy utilities here complain every time we try to make an obligation to introduce the smart meters. So that's something that we are always interested to know the experience of other countries.
Thank you so much for raising that issue. Indeed, regulation is one of the key topics. So I wonder whether Tudor or Anoop may jump on this question and share their perspective on regulation.
Sorry, Tudor, you can go first.
No, you can go, please. No problem.
Sure, I can provide a little bit of an insight into the Australian context. So we've had a situation where overall smart meter rollout in Australia is only about 20, inching towards 30%. And just recently, the national sort of rule maker, Australian Energy Market Commission, has set a target. Now they realize that there's about $500 million of value in rolling out 100% smart meters to all of Australia. So that's an activity that's now sort of being formalized. But we do have the state I'm in, it's called Victoria. We went through about 10 years ago a smart meter rollout, and now about 98, pretty much 100% of Victorian consumers, so there's about 5.5 million people here, have access to smart meter data. And there's been an assessment. It's quite a costly exercise. So there was a lot of back and forth around the value. And in the initial years, I think we spent about over $300 million rolling it out. People were not convinced. But now, with all of this DER and the need to coordinate and orchestrate it, the value of having that visibility that smart meters provide, both for the consumer, but obviously for the distribution companies and for the energy market operator, has created this move to try to get 100% smart meter rollout by 2030, which is just 6 years away. So in Australia, regulations sort of caught up, and again, there's a lot of investment, but there seems to be a case that's made to have smart meter rollout accelerated to hit that 100% target.
Thank you so much, and over to you, Tudor.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. On our side, what I can say at European level, we try to provide the regulatory framework, the legislations, the directives, which of course have then to be implemented by all member states. Now, we had already, and I mentioned in my presentation, the Electricity Regulation Directive in 2019 with a number of very important provisions. Actually, this year in March, we have asked, and you should know, we have a certain model for the market with vertical unbundling. So the transmission system operators and so we working now together with the new created distributor system entity. We asked them this year to draft new rules that are network code or eventually guidelines to further support the development of demand response. And this includes rules on aggregations, on energy storage, on demand curtailment, on the metering, and this is an important aspect as well. So the reform which we propose now is to tackle the user flexibility services now by the energy operators. And so the Council Regulation Measures reform proposes the enable transmission system operators to procure actually demand reduction at peak hours through peak shaving products. We also propose an evolution in the system operators remuneration and the network tariffs, and of course then metering is very important. And also the demand side, we have proposals for metering concretely to unlock the potential for renewables, for prosumers and so on to be integrated and to be quantified as well and properly remunerated in the market. So all these are part of this, and then I indicated it already. Based on the previous legislation, member states have done quite significant progress. Overall, is 50% deployment. But again, they put an obligation on their national TSO and DSO based on the EU legislation, and where we'll have also the guidance which I have mentioned. As I indicated in a few countries, in about 7 countries, we already have 98% rollout of smart meters. So it means there is a good business case as well, and we encourage further with the new directive and the regulation to advance into this direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm also looking at Naoki Tosaka, if you would like to comment on that question of regulation from Brazil as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. And in Japan, smart meter is not so popular for the industry. I mean, the companies manage their own energy consumption as their the price of the electricity or natural resources or something. So so if I answer the questions, maybe our way to promote the demand response is not limited to smart meters, but I guess in Japan, the companies can use our subsidies to introduce smart meters, which is I was mentioned in my presentation.
Thank you very much. And now turning to ASEAN Center for Energy, Zulfikar, would you like to comment on this question as well?
Yeah, thank you. I think regulatory, of course, is very important, especially in some other member states, like some countries like Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar. They do not even have the proper regulatory framework, including like maybe in standard and labeling. They actually start working on that with the support from the international collaborators. So I think this is basically regulatory is the basic for everything, right? We have regulatory, and then you can have the incentive support, and then you can have these promotions to the public sectors, the industry, the buildings, the household consumers, so that they can participate in this energy efficiency. Maybe like, for example, in some countries, they have a very strong policies on the ESCOs, for example, which can support in energy efficiency projects. Some types of regulatory frameworks, of course, including like in some countries, they have like the minimum energy usage per building or per industry, of which you need to report your energy utilization. You need to do your annual energy audit and reporting. And the limit of this energy use can be different from country to another, and this, of course, will impact on the incentive for the building owners, for construction sectors, for industry factories, whether they have to do this energy efficiency efforts or not. Maybe just additional point, has been discussed as well about this smart metering. I think the digitalization is another important factor. I think I do have one slide on digitalization, but I forgot to share it previously. But basically, this is the enabling factor that I think will be very important for ASEAN in pursuing this energy efficiency, demand side management, demand response, because only by this digitalization, at the very least, the users can see like how much energy they use, how much it costs them, and what kind of measures or behaviors that they can do to reduce their energy usage. And this also, of course, will be helpful from this the control side of the energy usage to do that. So I think this is, in addition to regulatory, of course, the rollout of the digitalizations in all aspects of energy, but especially in the end-use sector, would be very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zulfikar, and thanks others as well. Digitalization, thank you for raising this topic. It's, of course, quite a key element of the demand side policies. And actually, since we're going in reverse order, actually, I would like to stay with you, Zulfikar, and see